Encino is a horse that's been a late bloomer, got under the trail late, but this is one that I'm pretty excited about on the face. Coming from Godolphin Stables, trained by Brad Cox, ridden by Flo Giroux. And this one, I really loved what I saw in the Paglia Stakes and certainly built on it in the Bluegrass with a completely different running style. So a lot of things to be excited about. You'll see he's by Nyquist, and he won the Kentucky Derby. So and his get usually are pretty good at 2 turns, so we'll think that isn't a problem. You look at the dosage profile, and it's pretty much the same as the most of them. No real stamina influences, but he does have a pretty good GSV of 51.3, which is a little higher than the average. Glittering Jewel underneath by Bernardini, and you see the Conduit Mare profile is a little skewed towards stamina, so he does have a little extra. And what we've seen so far, he looks like a horse who I don't think 1.25 miles is going to be an issue for. We look at the get of Nyquist, and you see Slow Down Andy, a horse I loved. Boy, he tried every single time. Randomized, who got 1.25 miles last year in the Alabama, I believe it was, or the CCA Oaks, I can't remember which one. And Zagara, another nice filly. And so there's some good horses in this mix. Nyquist, I'd say, is a pretty good sire, not a great one, but he has had his share of good runners and at 2 turns. And we see with the get, it isn't terribly revealing. All we have is Orloff, a horse I believe was not raced, it appears, a filly. And so we'll see her in the breeding shed, I guess. So Encino is the star of the show, not much revealing there. But if we take a look at the races, we'll see that he's never been better than or worse than second in all his starts, and you certainly have to love that. You also have to love those improving speed figures, equibase figures with every single race. So certainly that's a mark of a horse who's on the improve. And what was most notable, I liked, particularly about the Lexington, was the fact that he completely altered his running style, took the lead, and never looked back. Keeneland was speed favoring. It was the right thing to do, and that's something that you do when you know you have the best horse. So those things all point to what I think is a pretty exciting Derby candidate. So let's take a look at the Paglia, where our interest began. So we'll look at the John Paglia Memorial at Turfway, and again we have to remind ourselves that this is on synthetic.
And there they go.
You see Encino out in the 12 hole and got away fine.
And out for the lead.
And a good stalking position, and negated any possibility of being a problem out that wide. So he gets right to a good ground saving position and just rating off the leaders. A little wide, but no big deal.
The speed. Vengeance in the second spot, and Blue Eyed George.
An epic ride, of course. You know, what a nice horse. Tries hard every time. Real gamer. If he gets into the Derby, he could be an interesting X-Factor type of horse. Not necessarily to win, but kind of like he did in the I think it was the Bluegrass, where he'll just run big and make it tough on the front runners. You see sitting mid-pack and no concerns.
And Blue Eyed George is in a super stalking spot from the outside. He makes his move into second, and he's pursuing Bolt at Midnight, heading into the far turn run. And
now starting to make a move.
With his big bid. Epic Ride is closing in 3 and
48,
you know,
moderate to slow.
2.5 lengths.
But
Epic Ride to tackle Bolt
moving nicely, and Epic Ride's made his move and got the jump on him too. And that's the other thing, is that even though Epic Ride got the jump on him, Encino was still able to run him down, and you'd have to love that. Really good effort. Still a little green, moving, bobbing a little bit there, but
Epic Ride, Encino is testing him. Blue Eyed George from the rail. Here comes Encino.
Yeah, he's got the head down. Now he's extended. It took him a little while to get fully engaged, but once he did,
Epic Ride second,
got up in time. I was really impressed with that race. That to run down Epic Ride like that, I think is a pretty darn good effort. We'll take a look at the Lexington that happened this last Saturday, and this was a little bit of a surprising effort, I thought, from Encino, but it was certainly an impressive
the Stone
one.
Street Lexington
The track had been, Keeneland's been playing speed favoring
Encino
throughout the course of the meet, and Encino certainly took advantage of it by hustling right up to the lead and staying on there.
Encino moves
when
forward,
he could certainly dictate things and was out of any potential trouble.
Will go second right behind the early leader as they swing around that first turn. How's Your Attitude stacks up toward the outside, now moves forward carefully from in between horses into second. And Lucky Jeremy third, was 3 wide around the first turn. The Wine Steward shuffled back into fourth. Hades is fifth on the outside. Secret Chat sixth toward the rail.
He's running easy here too. He's not pulling or anything, and you got to love that. This is a pretty professional horse.
0.55 seconds. Encino, the leader. Encino leads it by 3/4 of a length. How's Your Attitude second, the same margin. Here's the Wine Steward moving up to challenge for third, just inside of Lucky Jeremy. They're joined by Hades.
23 and 47, pretty honest fractions.
Far outside, will be caught wide going onto the far turn, just over 2 lengths off the lead. And then further back, Secret Chat, Dilger, Footprint, Liberal Arts at the back. It was 47.28 seconds. The time for the first half mile. Encino leading the Wine Steward. The Wine Steward starts to move off the rail as they come to the quarter pole, still a length off the lead.
And he was
Secret
still
Chat
full of
goes
run,
to
so
third,
I think
still
this is a
5
pretty
from the
damn
front.
impressive effort to hold
is
off a
fourth
horse
on
like
his
the Wine
outside.
Steward.
Hades is still some 10 lengths off the lead, top of the short stretch. Encino, the leader. The Wine Steward is right alongside. These two now going at it, moving into the final furlong. Gap of 5 more lengths to Dilger, and then Secret Chat.
Encino ends up with 2 horses dueling down the stretch.
The Wine Steward is second. Encino
he
giving
just puts the Wine Steward away.
he's
It's a damn impressive
turns
effort.
back the challenge and wins the Stone Street Lexington under Florent
Pretty
Giroux.
good time too, 143 and 4, decent time. Nice effort. If we take a look at the pace study, this is kind of a tale of two cities in some ways, because you have 2 different ways of winning a race. The Paglia is certainly coming from off the pace, about mid-pack on synthetic, which makes perfect sense. It's easier to win in that regard on that surface. We have seen it at Turfway going around 2 turns. You can win from the front end, but it ain't easy. So a much better way to run to get it done there. You see 53.76, 54.74, 53.33, pretty much one-paced pretty much all the way around, and certainly having a 53 type of third fraction would win a lot of races, and he was able to do it, particularly running down Epic Ride. I thought that was the thing that really got me pretty excited about this horse. Now, we move to the Lexington, and you see, because he took it on the front end, he had to use a little more energy on the top, and 55.84 is a pretty good clip. I guess he was at 47 and change, 47 and 1. And then he gets down to 53.53, and he has a pattern of diminishing fractions that often happens with horses who run on the front end. So that's not that big of a concern. I would have liked to have seen something over at least 52 for the final fraction, but the way he ran the race, visually, the way he showed grit and fighting off the Wine Steward, I think that's what the takeaway is. And the fact that this horse was able to completely change its running style and do it so maturely, you'd have to like the polish that this horse has going into the Derby. So I just think he's a really good horse. And I don't let the pace fractions of the Lexington aren't going to bother me terribly much, because I just think this is a really classy horse. And holding off somebody like the Wine Steward has to elevate Encino in most people's eyes as a solid Derby contender. How he's going to run in the Derby, that's really the question. But it's nice to know he's versatile enough that he can do it either way. I'm going to believe something more like the Paglia is realistic. I don't think he wants to try to win the Derby from the front end, but you never know. He might be good enough to do it. So if we look at issues and concerns, the race shape, of course, would be one, depending on how they're going to run it. If he runs from a stalking position in just off the leaders, and then he may be in good position if he's got enough horse to take it down. But we also know that however the race is run, this horse is adaptable, and that's the best part of what I like about Encino the most. Working on a trip, of course, because however he decides to run, particularly if he rates, he's going to have to find a trip. And we'll just have to see how the post positions work out. And then another jump. Can he take another step forward? He has been improving with every single race. So I think it's highly realistic that he can run another good race. And I think he's sitting on a big one. I think Encino is a really cool sleeper candidate, and you're probably going to get a pretty darn good price.